Federal Judge Aileen Cannon has just denied Donald Trump's motion to dismiss on unconstitutional vagueness grounds. We've got a minute order, and then we've got the order itself. So it's an order denying without prejudice the motion to dismiss filed by Donald Trump, counts 1 through 32, based on unconstitutional vagueness, signed by Judge Aileen Cannon. Earlier in the day, there was a hearing on this issue that Donald Trump attended, that special counsel Jack Smith attended. Of course, this is in the Mar-a-Lago document case. Donald Trump filed various motions to dismiss. This is just one of them, and this was heard earlier in the morning. So almost instantly, Judge Aileen Cannon denied and rejected Donald Trump's motion to dismiss on the grounds of unconstitutional vagueness. But before telling Donald Trump to hide the ketchup, or to hide the ketchup from Donald Trump, I want to delve into this order briefly, because like all of Judge Aileen Cannon's orders, it is very oddly written. The first thing to note is that it is denied without prejudice. Now, Trump's unconstitutional vagueness argument, somehow saying that the Espionage Act, 18 U.S.C. Section 793E, which has been used in countless cases, was unconstitutionally vague as applied to the facts here, is kind of the height of frivolousness. Yet, when you read Judge Aileen Cannon's order, she's not denying it with prejudice, which means that Trump can never raise this again. She's allowing him to raise the argument in the future, or possibly raise it with respect to jury instructions when ultimately a jury is selected in this matter. And this should just be rejected outright, because again, it is just so utterly frivolous. And then when you actually read her order, she almost gives Donald Trump like a runners-up prize here, like, oh, even though I'm rejecting it, you make some really good arguments, and it's important that we maybe, look at this more, and you raise some important issues, but for now, I'm going to deny it, when this should just be, this is so incredibly frivolous, denied with prejudice. Let's take a look at the order itself, then let's discuss some of the parts of this order. Judge Cannon, you see it says, order denying without prejudice defendant Trump's motion to dismiss counts 1 through 32 based on unconstitutional vagueness. This cause comes before the court upon defendant Trump's motion to dismiss counts 1 through 32 based on unconstitutional vagueness, filed on February 22nd, 2024. The special counsel filed a response in opposition, to which defendant Trump filed a reply. The court heard argument on the motion on March 14, 2024. Upon careful review of the motion, related filings, and arguments raised during the hearing, the defendant's motion is denied without prejudice. Defendant Trump seeks dismissal of counts 1 through 32 of the superseding indictment on the ground that the statutory phrases, quote, unauthorized possession, and quote, relating to the national defense, and quote, entitled to receive, appearing in 18 U.S.C. Section 793E, are unconstitutionally vague as applied under the facts presented, in violation of due process and the rule of lenity. Although the motion raises various arguments warranting serious consideration, the court ultimately determines, following lengthy oral argument, that resolution of the overall question presented depends too greatly on contested instructional questions about still fluctuating definitions of statutory terms, phrases as charged, along with at least some disputed factual issues as raised in the motion. For that reason, rather than prematurely decide now whether application of 18 U.S.C. Section 793E in these circumstances yields unsalvageable vagueness despite the asserted judicial glosses, the court elects to deny the motion without prejudice, to be raised as appropriate in connection with jury instruction briefing and or other appropriate motions. Accordingly, it is hereby ordered and adjudged that defendant Trump's motion to dismiss counts 1 through 32 based on unconstitutional vagueness is denied without prejudice, done and ordered in chambers at Fort Pierce, Florida. This is the 14th day of March 2024. Signed, Federal Judge Aileen Cannon. Once again, folks, this was on the same day that oral argument took place, but I think it's important that we read the order together because on the one hand, yes, we could make a mockery of all this Trump, hide the ketchup from Donald Trump. Judge Aileen Cannon just ruled against Donald Trump the same day as oral argument. Sure, fair. Yes, that happened. But when you actually look at her order, as I've said before, that her corruption is matched, if not exceeded, by her incompetence. And if you go, hey, Ben, can you break down what a lot of this means in legalese? Like, I will try to tell you what I think she's trying to say, but let's be real. This is a bunch of meaningless word salad right here that shows she's afraid to just say, get out of the courtroom. This is frivolous. And she talks about how these phrases like unauthorized possession, relating to the national defense, entitled to receive, that there are serious arguments, she says, warranting serious consideration. What are you talking about, Judge Aileen Cannon? Unauthorized possession that's confusing. You're either authorized to have it or you're not authorized to have things like our nuclear codes, our classified information, our top secret information. You either are authorized or unauthorized. What requires serious consideration there? Relating to national defense. That's not a confusing issue. Is the material defense information or not? Does it relate to our defense? Like if it's war plans, yeah, that's it. Is it nuclear codes? Yeah, that's it. Does it involve the weaponry of our allies or enemies? Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem to be unconstitutionally vague as applied here. What are the documents in the indictment 1 through 32? So as applied here seems again to be very, very basic. And then, quote, entitled to receive. What's vague about that? You're either entitled to receive it or you're not entitled to receive it. So to me, this doesn't warrant serious consideration, which even though Judge Aileen Cannon denies Trump's motion to dismiss, she says this warrants serious consideration. She denies the motion without prejudice. So she'll go, we'll hear this again in the future. And she even talks about potentially allowing Donald Trump to raise these types of issues with the jury and to argue to the jury unconstitutional vagueness as an actual defense here, which again, I think would be problematic if that was allowed to take place, nor should that be allowed to take place. And then she talks about what she says is this deals with still fluctuating definitions of statutory terms, phrases as charged. And then she goes, for that reason, rather than prematurely decide whether the application in these circumstances yields unsalvageable vagueness, despite the asserted judicial glosses, what are you even referring to there? Are you trying to say that despite the fact that every court everywhere has found that this is not a difficult issue, but you in your own way view it differently, you want to punt the question to the future? I think that's what Judge Aileen Cannon is ultimately saying here. So I want to be very clear. Yes, Judge Cannon, surprising ruling, happens quickly, denies Donald Trump's motion, yay. But I want to be very clear as well here that she's saying some real screwed up stuff when you actually read this, that she acts like this is a serious issue. Imagine when she deals with some of these other issues. When Trump's claiming absolute immunity, when Trump's claiming under the Presidential Records Act, he can telepathically declassify records, and then by putting in a box and shipping it to Mar-a-Lago, that the documents then become his and he owns them now, and they're no longer belong to we the people, and they're no longer entitled to be secret, or arguments like that. What's she going to do then? So in my view, yes, great. She rejects Trump's motion to dismiss instantly. Yay. But then at the other point, we need to be very circumspect in how we talk about this order. And that's why here on the MeidasTouch Network, we break it down. And I want to give you the specifics and what this may be foreshadowing as well. Let me know what you think. Put it in the comments below. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million together and have a great day.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.